Hi guys, thanks for joining me once again. Peter here, and I'm with Simon once again. We're on a road trip today. This is going to be a very special video. I'm going back to the UK very shortly, probably towards the end of this week. So this video might not be shown until I'm actually back in the UK. I don't know why. I've never visited the bridge on the River Kwai. It's somewhere we're going to go to today. We're going to stay overnight. I'm going to try and get some good footage to show you guys. What province is that in again, Simon?
It's in Kanchanaburi.
And how long will it take us to drive down there?
You'd normally about two and a half hours somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You've been there before, haven't you?
Yeah.
We don't actually know if it's open. We have checked on Google to see what information we can get, but we're just going to go for it anyway. Hopefully we'll be able to walk the trail and go through that pass and see the chisel marks and what have you. And also I believe there's a decent museum there, and also a couple of cemeteries, is there?
Yeah, there's the war cemeteries, and there's actually two museums, so we'll go to both of them. But the main one is, I think, is run by the Australian government. They look after it, and it's really good.
And the next time you see us, hopefully we'll be either on the bridge or near the bridge. You ready, Simon?
Yep, let's go.
Okay, so I've just been in the museum behind me there. It's very bright here. I hope you can see me. There wasn't a lot in there, to be honest with you. It was kind of, there was a few bits and pieces. I wasn't allowed to take any video film. So I have taken some still shots, and I'll tag them onto the end of this video. But looking this way, what you can't see at the moment is this. This is one of the cemeteries. Apparently there were white stone crosses here up until the 70s. They were removed because they were deteriorating because of the weather. They were quite difficult to keep. So they were replaced with the small plaques that you can see in front of me there. Well, we've arrived at the bridge. There it is, bridge on the River Kwai. But I'm a little bit disappointed because this should actually be a very solemn place. Obviously a lot of people died here, and as I pan the camera around, you can see just how commercialized it is. There's just literally hundreds of little stores, most of them selling rubbish. There's touts there trying to get us to buy tickets for boats and all sorts. I know they've got to make a living, but I wasn't expecting this. And modern day trains still run over this bridge. I mean, it's very nice. It's very peaceful. There's some real nice restaurants down there, obviously over the river, and it's just really hard to find a spot where there's not hundreds of tourists and rubbish, as in trinkets and things. So I've actually managed to find a spot on the bridge. There's nobody here. There's a lot of people behind me. I just wanted to soak up the atmosphere a little bit. It's very difficult to imagine what actually went on here because, you know, this is 2022, so I've dated this video now. And as I say, it's very commercialized around here. I'm thrilled to bits to be here because, you know, we grew up on films like Bridge on the River Kwai. From what I understand, the actual bridge in the movie that was blown up wasn't actually in Thailand. It was in Indonesia, which they used to call Ceylon. I don't like to give too many facts because I get people writing to me and saying, no, that's not correct, but I'm pretty sure on that one. But I feel very privileged to be here. Now there was another bridge. That was a wooden bridge which was used for cargo. Now according to the museum, can you see a building over there with, they've got a load of flags on the roof. If you come down to the second level, you'll see three, what kind of look almost like benches. That was where the original wooden bridge was that carried the cargo. So I'll actually go over there and get a closer look at that, but I just thought it'd be interesting to see it from the metal bridge. Now trains do come along this bridge still, as I said earlier, but there are little safety platforms to jump on, and there is a sign at the beginning that says if a train comes along, make sure you jump on one of the safety platforms. But as I said to you, it's very difficult to imagine 75 years ago what was going on here. The cruelty, the deaths. So where I am right now, or where Simon and I are right now, this is actually part of the some of the original bridge. And as I understand it, this was used as a cargo line, but this is original. And that went out across the river there. And if I pan the camera around to the right, you can see the metal bridge that we were on. There's actually some pictures in the museum. It was bombed several times by the RAF and the United States Air Force, and they did get a hit. A couple of those spans over there came down. What a lot of people probably don't realise is that a lot of the guards that were here were actually from South Korea as well as Japan. The South Koreans were actually forced into the Japanese army, the lower ranks anyway. Right, so here's a fantastic model behind a glass case here, and you can actually see what I was trying to describe to you. So if you look on the right, that's the metal bridge that we were on earlier, and where I've just showed the original part of the wooden structure, that's there, that's where we are now, or that's where I was standing, right there, and that led out across the river there. Okay, this kind of brings it home to how much cruelty went on here. I mean, obviously this is a reconstruction, but it gives you an idea of what these guys went through. Absolutely horrible, I just can't imagine it. There isn't too many descriptions of what all this is, but by looking at it, I would imagine most of it was for the Japanese to get around. That one's obvious, they're in a jeep there. That's quite interesting. There's a load of, quite a lot of helmets there, original steel helmets. If I, obviously they've put wire over there so nobody pinches them. I suppose these were all picked up when everybody left. So that says something about carrying malaria-stricken prisoners of World War II. I don't know what the significance of this helicopter here is, because there's actually a German cross on the side of it. Maybe somebody could tell me in the comments. There's absolutely hundreds of pictures in here, guys. I'd like to be able to show you them all, but the video would be too long, so I'm just trying to select some of the more interesting ones. very, very slow across that bridge because I guess the driver is aware of people walking on it 24/7. You look a bit hot. Okay, day two, we're still on the bridge on the River Kwai video, and we've actually driven about 80 kilometers because we've now arrived at the Australian run museum. Unfortunately, it's closed today due to the pandemic. We managed to get in a couple of museums yesterday, but they're very, very small. Apparently this one behind us is the best one to visit, but as said, it is closed. Not to worry though, we're at a location where they cut through the mountain with picks, chisels, all done by hand, majority done by hand. It's about 500 meters that way behind us, so we're going to take a walk down there and have a look and just see what's down there. They actually call it Hellfire Pass. If you look up on Google, you'll see a lot more pictures, but we're going to take a walk down there and we'll share what we find down there with you guys. I just can't imagine these guys undernourished having to work sort of 12-14 hour days in this environment. It's difficult enough just walking around in the heat. You know, a lot of times back home people have asked me, why do you keep going to Thailand? What's so special about it? Well, they say a picture paints 1,000 words. Okay, so we're now on the trail that leads to Hellfire Pass, where they cut through the mountain, and it pretty much looks like this is part of the railway line that the track followed. It's now a walking trail, but you can kind of see it. I mean, it's amazing they've survived, what, 70, 80 years? Okay, I've now reached the part of the mountain that they call Hellfire Pass. I'm only going to do a little intro on this. I'm going to walk down there, point the camera down there, and you'll see just what went into cutting through that mountain. They've laid a little bit of railway track there just to kind of make it look as it was. Terrible, absolutely terrible. Have a look at this, guys. Now they do have a lot of visitors here every year. Obviously people want to know where their grandfathers passed away, that sort of thing, and memorials are left. It's a very solemn spot actually when you look at photographs like this. Now we're not going to do any selfies here, that would be disrespectful, but it is important to show you guys just what's here. Some visies obviously come back and put that there. You can see there's obviously marks on the rock face there that aren't natural. Nothing in nature is totally round or perfectly straight like these lines are. What's kind of striking is just how peaceful it is here. Because there's not too many visitors because of the pandemic. Obviously Simon and I are here alone at the moment in this pass. I would imagine there's normally lots and lots of visitors standing around here. You've been here before, haven't you, Simon?
Yeah.
What was it, busy when you were last here, or?
Not overly, but yeah, I mean, definitely more people walking, you know, so you're not alone. Today we're, you know, lucky we got it all to ourselves.
Yeah, I'm not a railway fanatic myself. I am a World War II history buff. I do like anything to do with the Second World War, especially aviation. It's always been a hobby of mine. But even so, not being a railway buff, this is very, very interesting. Okay, so that's a plaque has explained what that is, but there's a piece of chisel still in the rock there. So I don't know if they'd have used any dynamite to loosen a lot of this rock, but
Yeah, they did.
okay, but there would have been a lot of manual work here. You can see there's a hole up there, obviously, maybe a dynamite hole that they never used. Okay, so we're actually coming to the end of this part of the trail. We're not totally alone. I can see a Thai lady, a Thai man down there, but we'll walk a bit further because there's a memorial there. I'd like to see what's written on the memorial. Must have been absolutely awful. So standing at this end, looking directly through the cut, you can see what they actually achieved. They've actually come straight through the mountain there, and that's actually has had trains running through here in the past. So what they've done, they've actually laid stones that lead up to the memorial to actually simulate a railway track. It's shiny granite. I don't know if the inscription will come out there. I'm sure there's an image on Google if you want to see what's written there. Some bench seating over there made out of stone. The memorial here. As I say, it's a very solemn spot, knowing what happened here. Well, you know what, I must be so unfit. I think I've put a couple of kilos back on since I've been to Thailand. But I have made the effort. I've come up to a viewing platform because you can look down on the pass behind me. I'll turn the camera around in a second. But you know what's really strange about this place at the moment? Because there's not very many visitors to Thailand and no large tour groups coming into these sort of places. As I said earlier, it would normally be full of groups from every country around the world. There would be a stream of people trailing behind us. And you know what, guys? We've seen one Thai guy with his wife or girlfriend. The place is absolutely deserted. We're here by ourselves, and this is what I can see from the platform. Extraordinary. From up here, this vantage point, you can really get a sense of what these guys achieved. So guys, the next time you come to Thailand, there's more to the life in Thailand than just the bars around Nana Plaza and Soi Cowboy. There's a lot to see, there's a lot to visit, there's a lot of good national parks in Thailand, there's a lot of beautiful countryside as you've seen. We've come here for another reason, but you can see the beauty of the surrounding countryside. And I'd really suggest get yourself out there. It's cheap enough, you know, you can do little tours, rent minibuses, that sort of thing. But I'm certainly glad I came out here today. I guess some people who watch this might be thinking, there's so many prisoners here and so few guards, why didn't some of them just run off? Some of them did. The problem is there were no second chances. If they ran off into the jungle, some of them were brave, they did try, they would receive a bayonet when they were caught. Death, basically. Just something you might find a little bit interesting. Obviously the trail goes off there towards Hellfire Pass. There's a bridge that we had to cross over, a modern bridge. But there was a bridge there in the Second World War, because obviously the railway would have passed over it. If I turn round the other way, the track comes from there. But there is a photograph here. And if you look at that, that is the original bridge right there. So if I just turn this round again, there's its modern equivalent. I find these places very, very interesting. I'm not a morbid person, it's not that. But as I said earlier, I've always had a great interest in anything World War II. I guess it's because I grew up in an area where we were surrounded by American airfields. It was in the middle of the country. B-17s, flying fortresses. There's an old base 4 miles from my house where I live now. I put a video up on the channel. It's not everybody's choice of watch, but it interests me. This place, yeah, it makes you feel kind of, it's sad. There's no other word for it. It's very sad what happened. We live in a very privileged world these days. I've visited a number of these sites over the years, and I always feel the same. I feel very, very lucky that I wasn't there. I visited the killing fields a few years ago in Cambodia, one of the famous prisons where they took people when they picked them up. Very gruesome. I visited Colditz Castle a number of years ago. You couldn't visit it before 1990 because it's located in what was East Germany, about a 40-minute drive south of Leipzig. That's where they held the officers who continued to, they were a nuisance for the Third Reich. Actually, they were escaping. I also visited one of the concentration camps. I can't remember the name of it now. That was actually in Germany itself. So I visited a number of these sites, and this one today is one that I've always wanted to do, and I always get the same feeling, as I said. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't really like doing selfies in such a place like this. I try to be a bit respectful. I try to make the video as respectful as I can. But there it is, Hellfire Pass and the bridge on the River Kwai.